All right, we still have a few people, and evidently there's like a whole hall of people that are not here that are stuck, but they're not there. So we're, oh, here they come. Everybody was doing it quick before we start and go to the bathroom. All right, it's a little after 10. I know you guys are waiting on us, so give us just a minute here. You guys can go get
Scott's agreements behind their hall.
their hall. Oh, geez, I don't know. All right, let me see. Okay, I'm gonna. Scott and Juliet are on their way. Alexa, up. So I'm just going to talk about a couple things that are going on here before they get here, and we'll probably elaborate on this some more. But we were getting ready to do a little meeting here on the 25th about the new hemp product, and which is now turned into a huge meeting. And I'm going to send these around. These are posted on mastersoфenrollment.com. So if you want to print them off, there's a PDF and a JPEG on there. You can drop your name in there, however, and start passing it around. Okay, and so it's going to mark your calendar as September 25th at 7 p.m. The doors are going to open at 6:30. It's a free event, right? And Alex is going to be out here, Sean, and I don't know, we might have a few more people, but it's going to be a big training. We're going to do an opportunity meeting, and then talk about the hemp FX stuff. So I'll pass these around, you guys. I don't have like a whole lot, but take one, and I guess those who are in their seats will get one. Anyway, if the leaders can take and get copies to your team, that'd be great. But it is on mastersoфenrollment.com, and I just put it on there on the front page. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Welcome. All right, you guys. Oh, here we go. People are filling in now. This is great. Do you guys have any questions about that? They are going to sell product there, which is going to be really cool. But from what I understand, it's only going to be bundles, right? So we can't break it up. So just know that. A couple of people are like, well, I don't need that product, but somebody else is like, I need that product. So, amongst yourselves, make the deals work. But you're going to have to write the checks or cash out checks to Longevity. $200 for the bundle, and I think we're just going to let everybody get one, and then if there's extra left, because I'm not sure, I think they said they were sending like 150, so we'll have to see how that goes. But anyway, Scott and Juliet are on their way. 3 minutes out. 3 minutes out. All right, good. I don't know what were you guys doing anything today, or did you have anything? Yeah, go ahead, so I'm going to get Joel up here, and he's going to do an opportunity meeting. Do
we have the new slides or the old slides? Which one is this? Is this the original slideshow?
Yeah, it's the old.
Yeah.
It's the other one?
Yeah. Do you want to flip the new one?
Is the new one available?
I don't know.
Okay. Welcome everybody online. Welcome everybody here. So, man, it is good to see all your faces. It is officially the fall season, which means it's college football season. Now, I don't know if there's any professional football at all. I don't even know if that exists because college football is where it's at. Who's with me on this? Yeah, cool. We got a lot less drama with college football. Anybody notice that? Yeah, I did at least. So, so kudos to all of you who are here while there are games going on. I know my team is playing right now.
Right.
And yeah, at 10 o'clock. Yeah, Marianne's team too. Very cool. But no, this is actually. Oh, very nice. See, I didn't know the colors. Absolutely not. So here's the deal: is you all chose to be here instead of watching college football, and that's a big deal because it matters who you spend your time with, right, Devin? Okay. So it's way more important to hang around amazing people than it is to watch a football game. And I'll tell you what, because the football game doesn't add to your life, this adds to your life. You with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're here today for a day of growth, a day of inspiration, a day of motivation. I know a handful of the topics that are coming today, and they are going to be on fire. They're going to help you build your business. They're going to help you make an impact and a change in your life. And Scott and Juliet just arrived. Everyone give them a round of applause. So I just want to start this today off with a little bit about why I'm excited about longevity, and then we're going to pass this off to the next speaker. So, man, when I got started in longevity, I was looking for something to change my whole outlook and perspective on network marketing. Anybody have experience with network marketing before they came to longevity? Okay, a lot of us. How many of us is longevity your first network marketing experience? Okay, that's awesome. That's really awesome, yeah. So the last time I asked that question from in front of a lot of people, everyone else just started clapping. Everyone just started busting out in applause for those people for this is their first network marketing experience. Everyone just started applauding those people because you all are blessed. You are extremely blessed that longevity is your first experience in network marketing. Because we all know there are companies out there that don't give it a great name. Am I right? Oh, yeah. You guys, longevity is changing that. And from the day one that I knew about longevity, I saw that. I mean, it was the person who I was introduced to. It was the mission behind Dr. Wallach. It was everything about longevity just started changing my perspective on what this is about. And man, I got excited. One of the reasons I got excited is because I used to carry around a supplement bag. I literally had a canvas, it was almost like a man purse. But it was like those massive bags. And it just had 12 different bottles of stuff in there, and a couple big protein bottles, and a couple random. And I just literally took it did I not take it everywhere I went? And
Yes.
I just didn't want to be without my cabinet. You have a cabinet at your house, a supplement cabinet. I just took it with me wherever I went. Because I knew the importance of the nutrition, but I didn't know anything better than just going to a vitamin store and buying whatever was on the shelf, which is not a good idea, turns out. That stuff doesn't really actually have a lot of good stuff in it. So I first heard Dr. Wallach's message, and he says, you take 3 products. You take 3 products called 90 essential nutrients. And those 90 essential nutrients have literally everything your body needs to build on itself and heal itself. And so I had 12 different products in a bag. So I go from 12 to 3. I was like, okay, this is good. I'm excited about this. And so that's the first connection I made with 90 for Life. I was like, wow, I can take 3 things, take care of all of my needs. And not only that, I had a back issue at the time. I had back surgery in 2011. And when I started taking the 90 for Life, few days, not much changed. A couple weeks go by, and my wife told me something changed. And I was like, what changed? She said, well, you're not complaining about your back anymore. So at that point I asked, well, am I a complainer? Was I a complainer? She looked at her face. Apparently I was a complainer. But I had stopped complaining about my back. And that was a big, big, big deal for me. I started off talking about college football. I was a college football player. And I had some lingering injuries from that experience that I just had to deal with. And nothing but 90 for Life has made a difference on that. It's amazing. That's my story. You guys are stories upon stories upon stories. I was talking to Lucy She's got that CD, that Dead Doctors Don't Lie CD. How many have heard Dead Doctors Don't Lie? Yes. Okay, so if you haven't heard Dead Doctors Don't Lie, find a way to get that in your brain, to listen to that information. It is life-changing. It's not only your life-changing, it's those people that you love. They're life-changing. Because as soon as you hear that message, you're going to want to share it. Am I right?
Yes.
So it's a game changer, you guys. And so that's originally why I got excited about this company. The other reason I got excited about this company was because of the people that were in it. And I mentioned that Scott and Juliet just walked in. These people are, they're my mentors. They're our mentors. And we're going to talk about mentorship today. You're going to get a new perspective on mentorship. And these people have given us a new perspective on mentorship such that I've never seen before. We hear about the word mentor, we hear about the word, leadership and what they're supposed to do for us. And these guys have changed my total paradigm of what mentorship means. And it's great because it comes from a company that does that very same thing. We're changing the paradigm on what mentorship means. Am I right, Marianne?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're gonna get some amazing stuff today. And I'm excited to just pass this baton on to the next speaker. But I'll tell you what, longevity is about Dr. Wallach, longevity is about community. Longevity is also about financial wealth and financial well-being, right? So we're talking about health well-being, and we're talking about financial well-being. And, I don't know about you, but there's one thing in here that there's one reason why I came today, and it's to be around people who can elevate my life. And being around people that can elevate my life, elevates my wife's life, our family's life. And a big way to do that is taking care of your finances. Would you agree with me?
Yes.
Because when you have your finances taken care of, then you can start to worry about the other things in your life that matter, right? So what are you passionate about? Your family. What do you want to spend time doing? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? Those are the things that we can focus on after our financial well-being is taken care of. Would you agree?
Yes.
So when this company started to change my financial world, that's when I knew that, man, this is it. How could it get much better than this? You got Dr. Wallach. You've got one of the best compensation plans I've ever seen in the industry. And you've got the people sitting in this room. It's just amazing. You can't get any better than that. So I got to give a shout out to Tom and Denise Chenault. They're I don't know if they're watching or not, but this is
They're always watching.
Yeah. They're probably sleeping right now, actually, right? So, yeah. So last I knew, they were in Singapore, and they're there to watch some kind of crazy race, right? Okay, Formula 1 race. And I saw. Did anyone see his Facebook Live recently? He's like in the. So they're in a hotel. For those of you that don't know, they're in a hotel in Singapore. It's like world famous. So picture this hotel. It's got these 3 pillars, like massive pillars. I don't even know how many stories high. And so there's one here, and one here. And on top is like this bridge that goes across all 3 of them, connects all 3 buildings. It's massive. It's like bigger than 4 football fields. And there's a pool up there. And it's an infinity pool. So you guys know what an infinity pool is?
Yeah.
So it looks like it just goes out over the city and there's a drop off. It's insane. It's totally insane. We saw it on like the world's most amazing architecture or something. And then pretty soon Tom's Facebook Live was like, here we are, I'm like, I just saw it on TV. But those guys are amazing, and they're a lot of the reason that we're all here today, right? Because they love Dr. Wallach's mission first, and they love leadership, and they love changing people's lives, and they forge the path, and that's so cool because we get to pass that legacy on. Scott and Juliet, they're forging a path. What we're attempting to do is forge a path for everyone to elevate each other and succeed and change people's lives and change people's health and change people's financial well-being. And so, Tom and Denise, thank you for allowing us to be here today. Thank you for sharing your building, your products, and your message. And so I'm excited for today. I'm excited for what you all have to share today. And without further ado, I'm going to bring up our next speaker. And I think, Scott, do you have anything to share? Are you next? Scott's our next. Okay, perfect. Yeah, this is great. So you guys, for those of you that don't know, I know some of you know the story, but how I met Scott. I was 15 years old going to a new church for the first time. And I kind of just saw him from afar. And every Sunday I'd see him. Every Sunday I just kind of see this guy. And I remember the first time I saw him, like, taking note of him, not because he was bald, because I know a lot of bald people. No, it was actually his eyes. And yes, you have beautiful eyes, Scott. But that's not what I noticed about his eyes. What I noticed about Scott's eyes were what was behind them. And it was weird because I was 15 and I just saw him from a glance. But I knew there was something different behind his eyes. You ever meet somebody like that? Okay, so 10 years goes by, like 11, yeah, about 10 years go by. And a friend of mine who is a very successful entrepreneur, businessman, he owns like 50 some massage clinics across the country, crazy like that. And he said, you got to know Scott Fardulis. We got coffee, and he's like, you got to know Scott Fardulis. I was like, actually, I do know Scott Fardulis. I go to church with him. He's like, do you really? That's insane. He's like, yeah, I met Scott, back when, whatever. And he goes, that guy's a big deal. And here I am talking to this guy who I think is a big deal, right? He's like, no, this guy Scott, he's amazing. Like, they know him all over the world. And he's like the best at what he does. And I was like, really? No kidding. And so it was kind of cool because I had known him from an acquaintance, but it took somebody else. This is a success principle, right? It took a third party to edify Scott to me, for me to go up to Scott next Sunday and say, principal, right? You guys follow me on that one, right? Third party edification. Then I stopped the next Sunday and I was like, so you know my buddy Zach? He's like, yeah, I know Zach. He's a great guy. Cool. So we got to talking, and one thing led to another, and here we are today. So that's the long story short, but I just want to let you guys know what an amazing man this guy is and what an impact he's had, not only on people in longevity, but on people everywhere in his life. And so without further ado, I'd like to bring up Mr. Scott Fardulis. I just want to see if I can lift him up there. No, that's a different pair.
Yeah, congratulations.
Don't you guys love Joel's energy?
Yes.
He is one of the best storytellers I've ever met. It's just great to have him up here kicking off Super Saturday for all of us. Are you guys thankful to be here today?
Yes.
Like, really thankful.
Yes.
Yeah, who traveled the farthest? Mr. Devin Stocks right there, came out of Texas. And who else is this right here?
Joshua.
Joshua, you came out of Texas as well, right? Did you guys all caravan up here together?
Just the both of us, yes.
The two of you. Wow, that's fantastic. That's a great to know him. Yeah. So what's going on? What brought you all the way to Colorado today?
I'll say what brought us to Colorado is this right here. This essence, this energy, this leadership, this love. And we were thankful from the gracious heart of Farmer Glenn here to allow Josh and I to be able to stay on his farmhouse for the next couple of weeks. So we're here to just kind of plug into this incredible community that y'all have all co-created together, and to learn, to grow, and to prosper, and to pay it forward.
Wow, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Well, first of all, I just want to appreciate every single person for making time to be here today. It's interesting. When you get to a Super Saturday, people are picking up the phone. They're making phone calls. We're inviting people. We're inviting guests. We're inviting individuals that we care and love about. And have you noticed that there's different kinds of responses that you get from people? You get excuses. You get an I'll be there. And you get great stories like justification as to what's going on that make people think that they shouldn't be here today. And then we react to that. We get emotional. We know what's in store for people if they'll plug into what's happening here at Longevity. And so it like breaks your heart when you hear people come up with reasons or excuses not to be at Super Saturday. For example, Juliet and I are traveling today to Los Angeles. And we're going to leave here, like as fast as this is over, we're going to change our clothes. We're going to go hell's bells
down to Denver International Airport. Hopefully we'll make our flight on time. But, you know, that was a really good reason. Like, oh, you know, maybe we'll just not show up today. Everyone will understand if we just use the old airport excuse. And so we could have done that. But we said, no, we need to be there. We have a responsibility. We have to set an example. We have to provide leadership. We have to do our part. And as soon as you, so now personalize this, as soon as you create an excuse, it's the doorway to permission for every single other person to always come up with an excuse. Do you get that?
Yeah.
So you have to have this mindset and this mentality that there's never really that great of an excuse not to do your part. And your part could simply be showing up, providing energy, giving feedback to the speakers that are in front of the room, nudging the people that are sitting next to you and saying, check that out. Did you hear that? That's amazing. And so your part, sitting in the room and being present, it's the biggest deal of all. The people standing in front of the room today or any other time, that's not the most important piece. The most important piece is your piece. Adding value, adding energy, and inviting the people to be here. And then just imagine all the people that have prepared for this moment. What do they go through? You know, the night before, thinking about what they're going to impart to everybody else. What value can they add? How are they going to come across? What stories are going to be shared? What lessons are going to be expressed? It takes a lot of work and time and effort and energy. So what would happen if nobody showed up except the people that were standing in front of the room? It'd be a bust. It'd be really a waste of time. But you know what? I've had that happen so many times in the years and years and years that we've been developing our team, where we'd show up and either nobody showed up or very few people showed up. And you know what Juliet and I did every time? We did the meeting anyways. We did it anyways. Whether there was one person or 200 people, you use the same energy, you put the same effort into the one person or the 200, regardless of who is or isn't here. So some people are watching online. And by the way, I just want to say thank you to you as well. So from my heart to you guys and gals that are online today, thank you for making time. Thank you for being present, even though you're at distance. We feel you. We can feel your energy. And if you guys would do your best today to add some value, you can type away to Mary Ann or James that are sitting over here on the side. If you've got questions or input or anything at all that you want to lend a hand to today, please do that. We'd like to acknowledge you, and we'd like to make you feel just as much a part of Super Saturday as everyone that's here physically. So I know you're not prepared for this, but today, some of you are going to teach Super Saturday, and you don't even know it. How do you like that? Yeah. You don't even know it. So suddenly, like you just had hot flashes. You haven't even started menopause yet, but you're about to. You're going to get hot flashes, sweaty armpits, sticky palms. You're going to get flushed in the face, and it's because we're going to put you on the spot today. And I don't know when or how that's going to show up, but it's just going to. So we're going to call on you today. We might interview somebody just at random, just to show you what something can look like, and that, in fact, you're a very powerful person, and that you're way more spontaneous than you give yourself credit for. You're way more spontaneous than some of you are planners. Like, oh my goodness, don't do this to me. This would be torturous. It'd be the worst thing in the world. But I gotta tell you, network marketing, you can be as planful or as planner of a type of person as you want to be. You like that English?
Yeah.
Making stuff up. It's perfect. Yeah, you just make stuff up.
Shelly says she picked a good time to watch from home.
Oh no, now we know you by name, Shelly. We're gonna on you all the way through this camera lens, so don't get too comfortable over there on your sofa. So, yeah, you know, it's a very spontaneous thing. For example, when you met the perfect person out and about in the world, do you just say, well, I didn't plan for this moment? There's no way I could say anything to them. I didn't plan for this. Or do you just suck it up and figure out how to start a conversation and ask the right questions? Next thing you know, you're in the moment and it leads to something, right? When you learn how to do that, it's a very magical experience in the development of your business. So that's part of what we're going to show you today. But since you're going to help design this Super Saturday, some of you are going to teach Super Saturday, let's just make some notes together on the board. So today, here's what I imagine is going to happen. Number one, we are going to show you I love purple. because it's the only color up here. We're going to show you a business presentation tool that some of you have seen a glimpse of, and most of you haven't seen it at all. Don't you like new tools? Would you like to see a brand new business presentation tool that can help you recruit and help you start conversations and help you get people primed and ready for something bigger? Would you like to see that tool today?
Yes.
Okay, so it's kind of, it's like an 8.5-minute clip that you have access to with graphics and testimony and storytelling, all building into explaining and expressing longevity. It's a really neat tool. Would you like to see that today?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to play that for you, and then we're going to talk about business strategies. Okay, so we got some business strategies. We're going to talk about the new longevity go-to app. How many of you would like to have a little bit more background on the use of that app?
Woo!
Okay, and then we're going to go through some promotions. We've got some stuff that's happening in the near future that you're going to want to know how to build and recruit for, so you get some things on the calendar. And so outside of that, another thing I wanted to point out that already happened today, which was an incredible live demonstration and a lesson, was the significance of edification. Did you notice how Joel was so masterful and artful and so very thoughtful when he brought me up and introduced me today for Super Saturday? Did you notice or pay attention to what was happening? That's a big, huge deal. And the word is called, once again, edification. And I love the word because it sounds so sophisticated. Edification. So this is the art of speaking highly of another person in such a way that it creates value and reason for you to want to listen to what they say or long to be around another person because they have something to offer you that you see as significant for changing your circumstances. That's a great definition of edification. So I'd love to have all of you practice that today. Okay, so we're going to practice the art of edification. And that's where, if you want to take some notes on this, edification, it's where you say 3 powerful things about another person. 3 powerful things. So whenever you're thinking, wow, how can I introduce somebody? How can I do as good of a job talking about another person? And you can do this very spontaneously. If I was talking about Marinko, for example, who's sitting here in the 3rd row on the edge, if I was going to introduce Marinko just spontaneously, all of a sudden, I don't have to get too nervous about doing that. All I think about is what are 3 things about Marinko that really stand out, that make him unique, that make him special, that make him powerful, that would make other people want to be around him or learn something from him. So, for example, I might say something and there's all kinds of different tiers of edification that you can go to. And so just on a personal side, I could say, you know what? I trust Marinko with my life. I've known Marinko for probably somewhere around 18 years. That's a pretty long time to get to know someone. I know that he's extremely loyal and dedicated to people. He values friendships. He's an incredible drummer. Of all the drummers I've ever heard in my life perform, like I'm talking about rock star style drumming. This guy is amazing. He's a recording artist. He has his own studio. He loves to teach people how to play drums. He's performed in lots of different musical groups. I've heard him do that live many, many times. He's blessed a lot of people's lives. He's worked here for one of the most powerful, won't mention any names, but one of the most powerful technology firms in all of northern Colorado as a high-level manager, and he's overseen a lot of people. See how you can just drop compliments on people, and it makes people elevate, and it makes them stand out. Then if you want to turn that into longevity, so they're like, well, what does that have to do with longevity? He's applied those skills and the attributes and the qualities and characteristics right here into longevity. So imagine if you could package all of that and plop it inside of longevity. Wouldn't it be amazing to meet a guy like that that's building a phenomenal team and growing a business that you could get up close and personal to, like Marinko? See how that just kind of rolls off your tongue? And you can do that with every single person. If you come across anybody's path, I can do that with Glenn. I could do that with Danny. I could do that with Devin. I could do that with John. I could do it with anybody in the room, and so can you. If you've had a conversation with anybody and gotten to know them at all, you would be able to think of 3 things that really impressed you about that person, and you could use that as edification. Do you think you could do that? Yeah. So that's all that Joel did with me. He recalled back to the last 12 or 13 years that we've known each other and just drew things out that stood out in his mind about me, and he shared those with you today. That's edification. That's how you build for people speaking. That's how you build for events. That's how you build for up and coming things that you're going to promote for inside of longevity. You edify, you edify, you edify, and you speak highly of the people that are going to be there. Do you guys understand that at 12:30 today, Ben Fuchs is going to be speaking today? He's on our scientific, medical, and advisory board. He's a right-hand man to Dr. Wallach. He's someone that helps us formulate the very, very best of our products. He used to be the head of pharmacy. You know, the people that oversee and decide what drugs are going to go onto the marketplace that create all those side effects that we hear about on TV today. He was that guy. That was his job. He would never go into a pharmaceutical laboratory where they make all those things that you and I are supposed to trust our doctors when we get a prescription to say, oh, that's probably a great idea. But he was the guy that determined what went to the market, and he was part of formulating all that stuff. And so one day he had a wake-up call, and he'll probably tell a story today. He had this massive wake-up call where he's like, wait a second, this just doesn't make any sense. He wouldn't go into the laboratory without full headgear on, respirators all gloved up and sucked into his own shell. So he didn't want the particles of all the stuff in the air to get into his pores. If he had that kind of a concern, why wouldn't you and I be concerned about what the pharmaceutical laboratories are doing to us today? When was the last time, which was probably yesterday, you heard a pharmaceutical commercial? And I want you to do this. The next time a pharmaceutical ad comes on, don't be tricked into watching the Smooth Operator commercials. Don't be tricked. Don't be fooled. Close your eyes the next time a pharmaceutical ad comes on and just listen to the words. Just listen to the words. You'll be mortified and horrified. It's impossible to take any drug without the possibility of never being able to urinate normally again. Expecting blood and pus and ooze to come out of your urethra. It's a true story, isn't it? I'm not kidding. Listen to these commercials. You're probably going to die. Right? You're probably going to have internal bleeding. You'll probably never be able to reproduce children again as long as you live. You'll probably never go to the bathroom normally again. And yet we sign up for these drugs. Do you think I'm crazy, girl? It's true, isn't it? Yeah, it's nuts. And so that's the guy who's going to be here today to tell you why Dr. Wallach is doing such magnificent, extraordinary, audacious things in the health community today, and why we're so privileged to have him a part of longevity. Now, aren't you excited to hear from him at 12:30 today? Yeah. So when he comes in here today, like when he walks in this door, don't wait for an introduction. I'll tip you off. I'm just going to go like this. You guys get on your feet. Wherever he's standing, just turn to him, salute him, give him a huge round of applause, and make him feel like the man that he is. Can you all do that today? So that'll be fun. See how we edify Ben Fuchs? Yeah. See how you talk about people and you build a story and a case for the person that's going to be here? That's why you guys are going to want to get on your feet, because now you know more about Ben Fuchs than before I edified him, right? Yeah, right. Does that make sense to everybody online? Give us a thumbs up or a number 1 on the chat bar if this is a good topic and it makes sense to you, pay attention today. Okay, so we talked about edification. Let's talk about this business tool. I think this is, and I love your feedback, like your absolute honest feedback about this tool. This is not a tool that was created by longevity. This was a tool created by the field. And so, are you queued up to play that? Okay, so there's 2 versions of this tool. Okay, let me explain the tool first of all. This is a tool where I've been asked to answer this question, why longevity? With hundreds and hundreds of companies in the network marketing industry, why not one of them instead of longevity? Wouldn't it be nice to have somebody answer that question? Why longevity over the other hundreds of companies that are out there? And so hopefully that's something that's being answered in this tool. where we're answering the question, why longevity? Also, I'm telling my story, my testimony inside of this video. And so there's 4 pieces of a really good overview to a company. Here's what they are. And it's called the 4-story format. The 4-story format works like this. There's somebody else's story. There's your story. There's the company story. And then there's our story. That's the 4-story format. So if you're ever sitting down and having a conversation with someone, for example, I could say, hey, Brenda, tell me a story. And Brenda's going to tell me a story. She's going to say about what? I'm going to say about anything you want to. Tell me a story about what's happening in your life. What are you excited about? What are you nervous about? What are you happy about? What are you looking forward to? And she'll tell me a story. She'll fill in those blanks. And it's so much fun to have someone tell you a story. Now, here's your job. As soon as they're telling a story, your job is to pay very close attention. Don't think about what you're going to say next. Just simply think about where they're at and how you might be able to help them or serve them. That's your job. So just take it all in, be in the moment, make it all about them, think about what they're going through, and your job, once again, is to take that first piece, and now you're going to turn that into your story. So you're going to customize your story, which is piece number 2. You're going to customize your story based on what the story was that they told you. You want to be relatable. You want to be likable. You want to be someone that understands what it is that they're going through, and then you're going to provide a solution. So you're going to tell them a story. And now you're both on the same page. There's a relatability factor that's going on. The third component is the company story. So now the third story you're going to tell as well. You're going to say, you know what, based on what we just talked about, I'd love to tell you a story about our company, Longevity. And then you're going to talk about Dr. Wallach. You're going to talk about his history, the things he's done in the world, the difference he's made, the impact he's had on people. You're going to tell that story. The fourth story is another transition, and that's your story together. And here's how I like to create that story. Hey, Carol, you know, I really appreciate the things that you and I have been talking about so far. I really can relate to everything that you just expressed to me. And based on your story and my story and the story I told you about longevity, could you begin to imagine, Carol, what things could look like if you and I partnered or explored other possibilities or began to brainstorm on how we could take what we shared today and put that to good use and to good work? I know that if we took our time, our talent, and our treasure and applied our passion, the things that we just talked about together, could you imagine where we could go together? And see what that does when you tee it up like that. It gets them thinking. It gets the other person thinking. It makes them salivate. It gets their mind starting to click, and they're going, oh yeah, that would be amazing. What if, what if, what if? And see, that's a case for hope. And what you really want to do is give people hope to enjoy life at a higher level than what they're experiencing currently in this moment. Does that make sense? So that's the 4-story format. So what do you do when you sit down with people? What do you talk about? Where do you go? How does that conversation look? Now you've got an outline in your mind. Start with their story. Let them talk first. If you talk first, do you understand? You could be putting out information that could be a turnoff. It could be irrelevant. It could not be what they want to hear. It could be a different genre than what they were hoping to get from you. So the only way you'll know for sure that you're on the right page is if they talk first. Always let them talk first. How do you do that? Ask them a question. I just love to say, hey, tell me what's going on. Tell me your story. And that's why we call it the 4-story format. So your whole conversation is simply a series of stories. Don't you like that? Yeah. And so that's a big deal. And then here's another story. So now you got this tool that we're going to play for you in just a second. And what I want you to do is take in the power of this tool. And notice that it's following this story format, but it's doing it in a business sense. So that not only are you hearing a story, but on top of that story, there's an invitation for whoever's watching that to participate and start thinking about the what ifs. They're going to think about, wow, I could see myself fitting in with this company. I could see myself fitting in with these people. I could see myself getting behind this message or this philosophy. And you know what? I do want my life to change dramatically, physically, financially, and relationally. And when we tell them in this video how to do that, now imagine how simple your job is. You just get to simply circle around after 8.5 minutes and find out what it was about this message that intrigued them or interested them the most, and then just listen. And then you can serve them right from that moment. So you guys ready to see this?
Yes.
Okay, let's
Do
go
you want to
ahead
hit the light
and push
behind?
play. And why don't we make sure this is coming through on the
Yeah, we
screen
might have to
so
move
they
it.
can see that. So if we have to reposition the camera.
Yeah.
Oh. Tell me if you can see it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Up, you gotta go up.
All right.
Up, 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 up. One more. Right there. That's good.
Is that your position?
Okay, now you
Is that a good angle?
I think it's okay.
Okay.
Right.
You want to?
Everybody's got a story, and mine's probably not all that different than yours. It wasn't but a handful of years ago, 6, 7, 8 years ago, when I really felt like everything was going perfect. And isn't it great when life works perfectly, when everything is predictable until it's not? And all I can tell you is one day I woke up and I didn't feel good. I didn't like where I was at in life. I didn't feel good physically. My head was foggy. I was depressed. Things were not well financially. We just had a car repossessed, 3 kids at home, happily married, except not so happily if you kind of catch my drift. Then our house got foreclosed as if the car wasn't a big enough deal. And you know what? It just seemed like things were out of control. And I wish I could tell you that we had a different start, except that sometimes when you find yourself in a position where you can admit that you're not as in control as you think you are, that's when you experience a turning point in your life. I ran into this guy that was kind of crazy at the time in my mind. Didn't know him from Adam, but I'll tell you this, we collided in a coffee shop one day. And that conversation has changed the course of my life. I'm forever grateful to that collision. It wasn't expected, but boy, did I need that conversation. That person gave me an ear, they gave me attention, they listened to where I was at, they took notes, copious notes. They knew more about me than people I had known for 30 years of my life. And because of that good listening skill, there was an invitation that was made. And an invitation that allowed me to get hope. I think that's the key thing that I want to express is that when someone's down and out or things could be better, it doesn't have to be down and out, just things could be better. Hope is an amazing word. It's melodious, it's climactic, it's exciting, it's thrilling. It's just what it is, it's hope. And that lifeline of hope was extended to me. I'm thankful for Youngevity. Youngevity is one of these companies that have been around for a couple of decades now. They've done amazing things for people's lives in every facet you can imagine. I'm thankful for a gentleman named Dr. Joel Wallach because he's this guy that went against the grain. Nobody liked him. He was despised by the medical community. He was telling the truth. He's the best-selling author of a book called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And catch this, there's a new movie that's being released as we speak. It's called The Audacity of Health. What's so audacious about it? Well, when nobody wants you to tell the truth so that people can get healthy, that's pretty audacious. And so when you think about telling that truth and giving people the real hope that they need to get over or to be better or to have an opportunity to live the life they've always wanted to live, that's what's so audacious about being healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and even financially. That's the kind of hope I needed. I'm so thankful to Dr. Wallach and what he's created through Youngevity because not only has our life turned around, we're not freaking out anymore about how much money is in our bank account. We're not worried about how to deal with things that oftentimes are answered by going to a medical institution. Relationships are strong and they're secure, and it's interesting when you don't have all those problems that you used to have and you can now start to focus on other people, kind of like in a selfless kind of way. I think it's amazing when you can go into a conversation and not be worried about yourself, rather you can be in total alignment and be in tune with what it is that someone else needs. And you learn what it's like to then be a servant. The tide gets turned, the tables get turned, if that makes sense. So Youngevity, what's it all about? It's a NASDAQ publicly traded company now. The whole world is paying attention to us. We've taken Dr. Wallach's decades of research. I'm talking about serious research. I'm talking about the kind of research where traveling all over the world, Dr. Wallach has learned how to eliminate disease simply by discovering, after thousands and thousands of autopsies, that every disease, every sickness, and every ailment is simply a lack of mineral nutrition. And that's the message of longevity. We call it 90 for life, the 90 essential nutrients. I started taking those 90 essential nutrients many years ago. And those challenges that I had physically, they're gone. They're eradicated. They're eliminated. They've been replaced with other challenges in my life. And I'm happy to have new sets of challenges and circumstances. Longevity, doing business all over the world. We're talking about 7 or 8 countries in Asia, Australasia as well, some places in Europe, all over North America, and now down into Central America, Latin America. It's exciting. We're taking that 90 for life message, and we're not only giving people hope, but we're showing people how to monetize that message and that story, that audacity of health. And so here's the way I look at it. You know, people can hear this amazing story, and they can say, yeah, whatever. Or they can say, there must be something to that. And if there's something to it for you, like there was for me and many other people, then I think we've got about 3 options. One option is that you can look at longevity as simply convenience. Not only do we have the 90 essential nutrients to put yourself on the best path to health, in my opinion, but you've also got access, and I really want you to hear this, you've got access to hundreds and even thousands of other product niches. We're talking about the kinds of product niches that you use every day of your life anyways. You're finding them in Sprouts or Vitamin Cottage or Whole Foods Market, your local grocery store, if that's what you want to call it. You're finding them there. But why would you want to get them from longevity? Because we actually have a compensation plan. And I think that's the point. When you understand that we all need money, and you understand how powerful our compensation plan is in association with simply telling our story and giving people hope, then this message gets monetized. That's right. We get paid by not only using the products ourselves through our business, Longevity, that publicly traded company I was just telling you about, we get paid to show other people the value of using the 90 essential nutrients, 90 for life, Dr. Wallach's health message, as well as all the other products that we have to offer. It gets monetized. So I think there's 3 options. If you want the convenience of longevity, it costs nothing to be a part of the longevity family. Zero, zilch, nada, nothing. If you want to make a little bit of money and have the opportunity to monetize what we're talking about, it'll cost you as little as $25 USD. If you want the potential to earn unlimited commissions, unlimited bonuses, we're talking about car programs, car bonuses, and all kinds of other exciting things that are associated to our compensation plan. That'll be a cost of what we call a CEO pack. The CEO pack is $499. Not much, in my opinion. You know why? Because we spend money all the time on technology. That's right, laptops, cell phones, the coolest gadgetry, big screen TVs, Xboxes, so we can play the most popular games in the whole wide world today. We'll do anything to get that fixed, and if it costs money, we don't care, because there's always something in the world we're looking to escape. How about this? How about if we stop running? How about if we stop attempting to escape and we start recognizing that if things are going to be different in our life, it's up to us to do something about it. I have no idea. I really don't. I have no idea where you can go or I can go for $499, be a part of a story this exciting, give ourselves the best foot forward, the best possible foot forward to establish ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, financially for $499. What's a CEO pack? It's Dr. Wallach's very, very best advice inside of a package about like this. 2 sets of the 90 essential nutrients and some other really, really popular things that you're going to want to use. We just figure if you're going to be a walking, talking, breathing, living billboard, which we all should be no matter what it is we're doing, we should stand behind our message and our products, and we want to give you the very best. We want them to be in your hands. We want you to experience them. Get them inside of you. Once it gets inside of you, then it can come out of you, and guess what? You're going to have an amazing story to tell. So guys, my friends, my companions here, that's the good news of longevity. Thank you so much for listening to this. I hope and I pray for you that you will do something with this information. Because if nothing changes, thank you. Is it a keeper?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yep.
Good. So we'll release that to you on Monday. Sound good? So come Monday, you'll have access to this video. We'll tell you where to find it, and you can start leveraging that to build your business. Anybody want to offer some feedback about what did you like about it? What were things that you noticed? Why do you think it would be a good tool? Yes.
It was a really good balance of everything, because I think people are looking for what fits them, you know, personally, whether it's time, health, or wealth. And I feel like you really focused on one particular one. It felt like it could meet people where they're at. And even at the end, the close, it costs you nothing. It costs $25 or it costs $4.99. It's like everyone feels like, oh, there's a spot here for me. And I think you nailed it.
Thanks, Nikki. Yep. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Short, sweet, and to the point.
I like that too. That was the idea. Short, sweet, and to the point. Great.
I think if someone is newer and they don't feel like they can stand up in front of the room yet, they can just push play on that and it tells everything that you know.
Really good point. Yep. Anybody else? Yeah, Claire.
Yeah, the timing was perfect because you're just going to get to that point where people start to get phased. You know, people can only take in so much information, and you kept it at that exact. There's got to be enough information that's kind of a balance, right? You've got to have enough information without getting too long. We live in this world, no one can pay attention.
That's right. Absolutely. Thank you, Claire. Yes, Jennifer.
I like the ending right, that if nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yes.
Make people think, it's true, well, I can choose to do this, or I can keep where I'm at.
Right. That's good. Thank you. Yes.
The first person that I shared your rough draft of that with, actually, immediately it was, well, what do I do next? It was that effective.
That's fantastic. That's great. Thanks, Steve. Neighbor, go.
I like how you started it. You started it very real and very vulnerable and honest. And I mean, someone's going to hear that and be like, yeah, that's me too.
Yeah. Very well.
Cool. Excellent. Yeah. And just to hold on a second, on that point, Mariko, I think that is really powerful for all of us to remember. I did that on purpose. This is not just a tool, but it's also when you're telling your story, it's an example of what to think about. It's so easy to brag or be boastful. I mean, think about this. When people ask us every day the most simple, common question in any language asked all over the planet, doesn't matter what language you speak, translate it to any language you want to, the most common question in the world is, how are you?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the most common question in the world, do you think that every day, every single person is perfect? Is that what's in their heart, in the pit of their stomach, in their head? Are they thinking, my world's perfect, why even bother asking? Is that their response? But yet we're so afraid to be real with people because it's a sign of weakness. If you answer in any capacity that shows that your life is not at least pretty good. Pretty good is the most common answer to the most common question in the world. Something synonymous is fine, pretty good, okay, not bad. Some people joke around now and they say living the dream, right? They're like living the dream. And their idea of living the dream might be just complete mediocrity. And so I think it's important what you said, Maureen, goes to remember that the best thing we can do is to tell it on ourselves. So when you're telling your story, I didn't focus on where we are today in detail. I focused on where we came from, because it's where you came from is the attraction that's going to make people want to follow you, because you found something that allowed you to escape the place that defines most people. If you used to be where most people are and you've escaped from where most people still exist today, they want to know, how'd you get out? What path did you get on? What highway did you find? I've been traveling all over the place, zigging and zagging, and I still haven't found that highway yet. So that's why you got to tell it on yourself and be open and honest and vulnerable. Whoever that is, I totally agree. Yeah. Can you all do that? Remember, the next time that doesn't mean, here's what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that you go off on a 30-minute epistle on why your life stinks and how bad things are.
I was going to add that because, like, how many times early on when I got into the hard part of my story, I would get into that mousy voice and like start remembering some of the depression of that past. And be like,
yes.
But you didn't know that. There was still hope in like when you were telling that. And I'm sorry I interrupted you, but
No,
I was thinking that
That's right.
the whole time you were talking, and I just wanted to add it, and I really appreciate when you give me that feedback.
And hold on a second, Marianne. So in seconds, not even minutes, I talked about house foreclosure, car repossession, physical health issues. I didn't get into detail, and you don't need to get into detail. You just say it, and then they can draw their own conclusions, or if they want to know more, they can ask you a question. Hey, you mentioned 3 or 4 things that were a struggle. Wow, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Can you tell me more about this? And then when they do that, then that's permission that they want to know more about that piece, and you're not boring them, nor are you playing the victim role. The most dangerous thing is that you turn into playing the victim role where you're getting attention from other people for all the wrong reasons. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Yes, Marianne.
Well, no, I was gonna kind of like what Marinka was saying, that sometimes when you tell your story, the emotion people have around their story, now they can relate to you because they know you had that same kind of emotion. It's easier for them to,
That's right.
maybe open up and.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, it opens up the conversation when you started out by being vulnerable. Kelly.
You mostly answered my question. It was, it was my heart for new people where you insert play, being like going back to reminding them, don't just put play on this at the beginning because it wouldn't be as effective.
Right.
So you touched on it again. You wrapped back around. You basically said use your story and make sure you talk to the person who care about their story.
Great.
I know that if you just walk into a meeting and push play on that, it's not. They're gonna be like, great,
That ain't
thanks.
personal.
It's not, not personal.
I think you're making such a really valid point, and that is, don't just think that a tool like this is just some automatic magic wand. Kelly, you just said it. You've got to set this up. Make sure the person receiving it is prepared for what they're about ready to receive. And so many times, I'll talk to individuals, they'll be like, oh, I just sent out the video to 10 people. It's like, well, did you have a conversation with those 10 people before you sent? Did you get permission to send the video? Did you have a conversation to find out why the video would be appropriate for them? And did you kind of walk through what the expectations are as they would be viewing and watching this video? If you haven't done all those things, think about how weird it would be to be on the other end of receiving that video with no preemptive warning whatsoever. It would be a little bit odd, right?
Yes.
So don't put your people in an odd situation and then expecting that it's a miracle. The tool is not a miracle, it's just a tool. Okay? Go ahead, Lucy.
Do you know if it's closed caption? I know that in your Thursday blitz call that it was being translated, but I particularly appreciated the fact that there was additional pictures because I work, as you know, with deaf individuals, and we had other foreign language speakers at the convention. And so oftentimes, if you were just standing there alone and sharing that message, it didn't impact me as much as it did with the additional visuals.
Yeah,
because those visuals meant, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so that really emphasized and brought out certain points of your story.
Absolutely. Thank you. So you appreciated the overlay of graphics and pictures of the side
I
of
think
the.
it made a bigger difference.
Good. Well, it costs a lot of money to do that.
It's worth it.
Yeah. So we actually sent this video out to a professional agency that took the time for a week to go through and parlay all those images and find them inside of our resources and do what they did. Which
That
I thought was
changed the
great.
message.
Changes the message. So you asked about closed captioning. So everybody will want to know this as well. Right now, we have this video completed in Spanish, 100% done. It's 100% done in English, and it's 100% done in Japanese. So those 3 languages just happen to be first. The rest of them are coming. So the only other languages internally so far that we are most concerned about at this point would be Mandarin, would be primarily the next one. So that'll be next. And what the agency did, which was actually out of Mexico, that did the whole thing, the English version as well. So a Mexico-based company took this and they studied my mannerisms for like 5 days straight. And they mastered my tone and my cadence, and they took out all of the English, and then they had a professional voiceover recording artist that sounded like I might sound in English. They did the work and came in and word for word, they scripted the entire thing out and spoke Spanish over my English. So there aren't actually any subtitles, it's just audio Spanish. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the quality of what went into.
So for the Japanese version, does your mouth move later? Actually,
yeah, Japanese version, they put it on Tokyo background. They actually have Godzilla. You have to be a little older to get that joke. I don't even remember Godzilla. Come on.
All right.
Okay. So yeah, cool. So did you have a question, Glenn?
So for new people, it'd be nice to remind them that these entry level prices are one-time purchases. So when you say $4.99, some people think that's what they spend every month. That's just a one-time deal. So I don't know if that.
Lay that graphic in.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I think we'll just leave that up to the person who's following up and talking
Yeah.
to make that clear.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy to explain that, or if it even comes across that way as a question. What we're not going to do is go start over just because of that. So we'll tell you what we're not going to do.
So you're just asking our opinion? Purely just, we don't have any input. We have no input. It's done.
Yes, Danny.
I was gonna say, I think we did it in such a way that it sets up a great foundation for them to ask questions, and so that way there's a lot of conversations to be had, but it's good talking points for them to start thinking, and you can kind of see where their mind is going, what they may be like hesitant or excited about, and different.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Danny. Okay, well, that's the tool.
There you
So Monday, you'll have access to the Japanese, the Spanish, and English version of this video. And did you?
They want you to repeat the questions the audience saying so they know what to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Not gonna happen.
Maybe James, you could type back some of the answers.
Yeah. What's it? Oh.
That were sent at the very end.
We'll be here till tomorrow
That'll
getting it
take a
typed.
while. Yeah, sorry guys, they'll feed in the answers that were expressed. So, all right, that's a new tool. Have you noticed that there's another tool that's out there, and it's the Longevity Go-To app. So this is a phenomenal tool. I don't know if you recognize or realize yet what is truly at your fingertips. I have got to be one of the first people to tip my hat to Longevity and say, wow, Robert, really proud on launching and making this app available. But Juliet's actually going to come up here and share a little bit about this app. We've been using it and getting really familiar with it, actually launching it out to different people on the team and different prospects that we're working with. We've registered a few new people personally into the business here as of late. We have a new goal. We're actually going to build 3 more one-star executive and above legs. So we're going to increase the size of our business. And I think for no other reason, it's not necessarily in the comp plan that we do that. We're just doing it because we want to be in the game, you know, and I think the way you stay in the game is to continue to play. And so we're continuing to play. You know, we come across people all the time that are madly looking for something. And so we've hand selected 3 new people here recently. So we're using this tool. We're sending out information, but I want Juliet to walk through some of the benefits of this app that Longevity has taken such a great amount of time and money. Please understand, this app is ridiculously expensive. And it's obvious that it costs a lot of money because it's a quality app. And so she's going to talk to you a little bit about this, and then I'll come back up here. We'll recap a couple things, and we're going to move on to some other topics. But I want you to be thinking, because you're about ready to come up in front of this room and help produce this Super Saturday training, Jen. So we'll see you in just a second. You ready, Julia?
Does anybody know how to do the screen share off your phone onto the screen? Like off the iPhone?
Do you have Apple TV?
No, but they're,
Chromecast.
Okay.
yeah, we have Comcast,
Chromecast.
or Chromecast, I mean, but
It's not.
maybe it's.
Okay, that's all right. We'll just.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, unless it's something on the page itself.
Okay, so
Alright,
we.
yeah.
Everybody go download it right now.
So ideally, we were going to be really techie and tricky and get my phone to project
Pop up
on the
on there.
screen and have the video play. So instead of that, I'd like to have everyone take out their phone. If you brought it, hopefully you brought it. And if you already have the app, that's okay. You can call the person next to you if you need to. Go to your app store. If you need help going to your app store, it's okay. Ask your neighbor. Some people are different stages of technology literacy. And you're looking for the Youngevity Go-To. It's an orange box with white, the Youngevity symbol in white, and it's called Youngevity Go number 2.
Oh, the camera right there.
Oh. Does that show up, James?
Yes.
So that's
The
the app.
red box.
Most of you should already have it. If you're at convention, you probably already have it. And then download that. Open it.
Let me see if I can.
Anyone having success that just started doing it right now? Is able to find it and download it? Is there good enough Wi-Fi in here? Yes, okay. So when you first get to it, you open it up and it's got a scrolling banner and it says, welcome, Youngevity Go-To, start the tour here. So you can do that at home. What that is the third party that created the app. His name is JJ Oswald. He created this and it is very useful and amazing. We've been waiting for something like this for as long as apps were around, right? And so you can click on the start the tour and it says Youngevity Go-To app training and there's a little arrow and someone's got it on there. So you can watch that and he walks you through in a few minutes how to set up your app so that you can be effective sharing all the different media that is in the app. So he'll have you first of all go to your settings, which is on the lower right. So you can go back so you see the screen that looks like this, and then you'll see settings on the lower right. Is everyone or most people on that page in the settings? Okay, then you click your settings, and then you'll click the very first thing. It says account. It should say your username that you use to log into your Youngevity, or that's also your URL. It should say your username. Ours is our last name. Yours might be Get Healthy Now or whatever you named your business. And then your password. You need to put that in, and it will store it for you, so you don't have to do it again. And then you can go down to where it says media in the middle, and it says share setup. You click the share setup. Now this is all spelled out for you on that little video I just explained. So don't worry if you don't have it pulled up now. You can do it at home. And you should have a contact information, and you can upload your picture there. You click on that. And it should have your name and phone number. Now when I pulled it up, it had Scott's name and phone number automatically populated, and I wanted to change mine on my device. So I changed it to my email, my phone number, because if I share something from my phone, I want people to reach back to me. And so he'll have his set up with his info. So we have one ID number. And then it has a place where you can put your bio. You can write something, or you can just put something simple there. I just put Scott and Juliet Vardulas, Youngevity Emerald Ambassadors, just to have something there. You could put your title, or you could put any catchy phrase that you'd like to put. This information will appear when you share something with your contacts. That's going to pop up.
So it gives some credibility of who is sending it. Okay, and then also in share setup, underneath your contact info, it says lead capture. And if you click on lead capture, you can turn it on or off just by touching that little button there. And what that does, it says visitors will be required to enter their name and email address before gaining access to the web pages that you share. So you can decide if you want that to be the case. That means that you send someone a video, for example, on the new hemp product, which is stored in your app already. You can click it, you can share it through a text, you can share it through an email, you can post that, I'll talk about that later, onto social media. And do you want them to be required before they can see it to give you their email or their name? It also has address. I would not recommend putting address because people don't like to put in their address on something just to watch a video. So I would not select that. I wouldn't even do phone number. This one is just name and email. So it's probably a good idea to do name and email. That way you can get back to them. And email is a very low-key way for someone to get back to you. They don't want you to call them necessarily. So unless it's your friends. So you can decide if you want to turn that on or off every time you send something. So you can change it. You're not stuck with it all the time. You can go into your settings, go into your media share, and fix that. And then the other one it shows is social display. So click on social display. And when I clicked on this, I was blown away. I had no idea that there were this many social media forms of social media. I can think of the main ones like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest. I think of those. Twitter. But did you know there's one called Co-Comment, Delicious, Dig, Friendster, iJig, Congregate, spelled with a K, Last FM, and Mixi, MXI, Pure Volume, of Snapchat, my kids use that, Stumble Upon, Technorati. I mean, these are all social media that I've never heard of. I know Nikki knows all these, right? Right, Nikki? No? Okay, so you just pick the ones that you use. I love Pinterest, mostly for recipes and positive statements and things like that. So I have Pinterest, so I clicked Pinterest, and it says enter your username. So you put your username if you have Pinterest, if you use LinkedIn, if you use Facebook, put your username in there, and then you click save at the top. So now when you go to the media and you decide, so that's on the lower left side of the bottom of your app, click media, and I see I have clicked favorite on the Rev video because I love the Rev weight loss product. So I clicked favorite, so that easily pops up. Every time I open the app, my favorites are listed there, and I can change those if I want to. And so people are always asking me about the Rev, so I have my favorite Rev. So I picked that, I tap it, and then down here it says email. I can email it to a friend. I can SMS, which means text. You can text it. Or I can do social, copy, or download. So I'm going to click the middle one, social. And now I can write a unique message that goes along with the video. This is the video I told you about on the phone that you are interested in losing weight. This is what I did. And so call me after you watched it. Well, I'm going to know if they watched it, which is one really neat thing about the app. So I put that there, and then, or it has an example message, which is already populated in there. It says, Slender FX Rev is a dynamic, innovative, fat-burning, metabolizing solution to get your weight loss challenges. So you can just leave that if you like it. And I'm going to use the example message and copy. Okay, for some reason it's not doing what it did last night, which was very easy. I pushed it and it went right to, I could choose where I want to send it, and it sent it to Pinterest. So anyway, you can play with it because I'm not an expert on this, but this is what you can play with. You're not going to break it. So have fun with it and use it because Longevity has made this for us for free, and it's a lot of resources here. Very handy. I know Nikki has used it to enroll people. A lot of people have. Steve and Steve just this week. You can pull this out of your pocket, and enroll your new distributor. Longevity knows that it's you because you're in your app on your device that you've already put your ID number in. So it's very easy, easier than the website, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, for your contacts, that's the last thing I wanted to show you. So you click contacts on the lower screen there, and these are all of your phone contacts. They automatically are there. So all your hundreds and thousands of people from all the years are there. Do you want to put all of those into your app? No, because a lot of them are you guys. They're already in my business, so I don't want to, you're not a prospect anymore. So that's not what you want to do. So you can mark the ones that you want to be in your app so that you can easily send them things at a touch of a button, and you can mark them hot or cold. So here's how you would do that. You go back to the home page, see. And where it said start the tour, actually, let's just click on contacts. So let's say you find somebody that you would like to share the business with that you haven't already. So I'm just going to pretend I'll put Dr. Ike and Lisa Kulagila. I just put you in there just pretending that I haven't shared it with you yet. Now, I already know you're in, so I can hide the contact, and then it's not going to be there anymore to confuse me. And it will say, are you sure you want to hide the contact? Yes, because they're already in. There is, so then you can click on hot or cold, and you can see the ones that you've marked hot or cold. Hot would be someone you really need to talk to them quickly because you know that they're interested. And then cold would be whatever you want it to be. I would say it's just someone that you know that you think you need to talk to. So they're not really the hot prospect, but they're available to be approached. So you can work on that. It might take you a while because you probably have thousands in there, like I do. However, it's so worth doing because now you have it organized and you have marked who is on your list. So this is a way of digitally keeping track of your list, which I think is great. And there's lots more that can be done on here. They are adding new videos. JJ, the creator, has added videos telling you more details that you can watch on your own time at home when you're on your Wi-Fi. And I think that's about it for the app. I think we should all use it and be grateful for it and enjoy all the new PDFs and resources and tools that they put there for us. We can push a button and send out very easily and quickly. So
There's a
yes.
question online.
Okay, question.
Can you set up the auto ship, adjust auto ship, and make orders from the app?
Yes. Your business is there on the lower right. Yeah. Click business. You can see your first distributor business. Yes. Anything else?
So when you go there, does it take you
online.
to the back office?
Yeah, it takes you to your business distributor business center. Enroll a distributor is there, your business. Resource center, sign up for convention in 2019, and the longevity blog. All these things are there, so it's awesome. And then there's a feed. The feed is showing you everything that you've done. So if you sent someone the web video, it shows you that you did that, who you sent it to, and what percentage of the video did they watch. If they watched the whole thing, it's going to say they watched it 100%. If they watched 25%, it will say Sally watched 25% of the video. So then you really know, oh, they watched the whole video. I need to call them back and follow up. And so that's the awesome thing about that. And then it has a reminders tab, so you can actually set the reminders in there to remind you to call them to follow up. And then news is, I'm not sure what that's things that Longevity have given us. News. So it's your business in your pocket. Beautiful. Any other questions?
That's all.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for watching.
Can you do a headshot with the on the content?
Yes. So it pulls up, if they have,
Repeat that question.
he said, can you add a headshot on the contacts? For yourself or for the contacts? Yes. You can upload your picture and it automatically pulls up the picture of your contact if they have a picture stored in there. So, questions from the crowd? Okay, good. Enjoy the app, have fun using it, and the next
Good job, good job.
Isn't that a cool app, guys?
Yeah.
Glad to have it.
Yes.
It's free.
Yeah.
It costs nothing. So make sure you're using it. Play with it. The best thing you can do is what Julia said is know that you're not going to hurt or blow it up. Just go in there and start playing with it. Send somebody some test messages and things that you can see how the tracking features work. I like the prospecting piece too, personally, where you can take every one of your contacts that's automatically uploaded in there, and you can do what Julia said, just go through and swipe this way for cold, swipe that way for hot, swipe this way for hide, and you can go in and create notes about the person, which is really cool. So you always know what you need to be doing with those people, which is fantastic. So that's good news. All right. The next thing we're going to talk about here is some business strategies. So, we're here for two reasons. We want to learn as much as we possibly can for the betterment of our health and our longevity inside of longevity. And, I had the privilege the other day of, I played golf with a gentleman that I've known for many years. He has been in the network marketing industry for many years. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a very accomplished person. And he was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of cancer that's in his throat. So he has a golf ball sized cancerous tumor that is lodged right here in his neck. When you look at him, he's like so in shape. I mean, he is physically fit. And so my point is, nobody's immune to anything just because you think you're eating right and exercising. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he, one day he's just like, man, it's so hard to swallow. And he was just clearing his throat a lot and swallowing hard. And it felt like a lot of work to get stuff to go down the esophagus. So he's like, man, that's something's wrong. He went and got checked. They're like, we got some news for you. This is serious. You have a very aggressive tumor in your neck and it's growing. And it's eventually going to suffocate you because it's going to push into your esophagus and it's going to be a problem. And so we need to treat this right now. So they told him immediately, you need to do one of a few things. We recommend a surgery. We recommend going in and just taking this whole thing out there. He said, okay, if I do that, what are the consequences of that? Well, the worst case scenario is you will lose your ability to speak because it's pushing up against your larynx where you make sounds with your vocal cords, and there's a high risk that you will not ever speak again, and you might have to use one of those tracheotomy things. And he's like, okay, let me get this straight. You're telling me I have what I have. In the next breath, you're telling me that you highly recommend a surgery where the highest likelihood is that I might not speak again and I might have to have a tracheotomy. And they said, that's right. He said, okay, what are my other options? And they said, well, we could immediately do chemotherapy and radiation on you. And he goes, okay, what does that look like? And so they painted this picture. He's like, and that's all the options I have? Yep, that's it. They never once mentioned the option of doing something through nutrition. It never came up in a conversation. And in the back of his mind, the good news is that's his plan A before he walked into the doctors. But he just wanted to see what would they offer, what would the advice be. So he said, well, I'll tell you what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to do your surgery, and I'm not going to do your chemotherapy and radiation. If I die, I die. And he says, so what you're telling me is I'm going to do that anyways, probably, unless I do something different. And so he opted out of that. He walked out and he called everybody he needed to get on the most aggressive form of treating this thing from a natural standpoint. This was all brought to his attention about 2 months ago. As of now, his tumor has shrunk dramatically. He is, if you're wondering what he did, he is not able to hint at who he is or any of those things. I'm gonna have to talk a little bit in code just to keep his privacy out of social media. He is taking the nutrition that you and I are aware of, the good news things. He's following the dietary protocol for, you know, not eating all the bad foods. He's avoiding like the plague sugar. He's only drinking alkaline water. So if you know anything about cancer cells, they love and they feed on and they actually thrive on sugar and acidity. Did you know that?
Yeah.
So they thrive on sugar and acidity. So that's why he's only drinking alkaline water, and he eats no sugar, drinks no sugar whatsoever. So he's literally starving his cancer, which is great. So what we know now is his cancerous tumor is shrinking. He's taken pressure off of his larynx, and everybody and their brother is telling him that he's crazy. So he's having to go through all the people that are telling him he's irresponsible and he's not doing the right thing. You're not listening to the right kinds of doctors and not getting the right kinds of advice. And so why am I telling this story? I want you to be in a place in your life where you stand for something and you trust something. Either you believe in what Dr. Wallach has to say, or you don't believe in what Dr. Wallach has to say. And you'll know when you come up against a hardship. That's when the test will be there for all of us. And I faced that. You know, I don't go into details, but I alluded in this video tool that I had some challenges too. And a lot of people may not know about my challenges, but I had some really bad news on my health as well. And I was looking at having a surgery. They wanted to operate on my vertebrae and do some spinal fusions and actually take out some discs and put in a block and fuse them all together. Really radical things. And I met Dr. Wallach, and I opted to trust him and to not take the advice of the mainstream medical suggestions. I never did any of those things. I never had that surgery. I never had the fusions. And everybody told me I was nuts because of the shape I was in at the time. I was already in a tremendous amount of pain, already sucking down the pain pills and the pharmaceuticals that have been prescribed to me. And I strictly went on my personal, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not allowed to do that. I stood for something. And I believed in Dr. Wallach's message. I followed his advice. I took it to a T. I still do that today. And I feel amazing. That's what I can tell you. And it's always interesting what the medical community has to say about that. They're not ever able to say, hey, congratulations, way to go, let's celebrate that. And there's never going to be an attaboy or a testimony coming from them where they'll congratulate you for doing the right thing, right? So you have to know that you stand for something. And I just really felt compelled to just share that with all of you today. And that's on the health side. Standing for things that work on the business side, let's transition over to that. Let's start talking about some business strategies. And because we're going to spend a lot of time on the health topic in about very shortly here when Ben Pughes arrives. So when Ben Pughes walks in the door, the time is his, and we're going to be all over the health topic. I know some of you are here today because you're just ecstatic about learning as much as you possibly can about the background, the history of our products. You're going to get plenty of that today. So right before he walks in here, let's cover as much of the business side of the same coin as we possibly can. And I want to talk to you a little bit about a gal named Nikki Maly. So I met Nikki because of the gentleman that started out the conversation today named Joel Maly. So all of a sudden he starts showing up to church with this gal by his side, and I'm like, that's awesome. So this must not just be any ordinary chick. This must be an amazing gal. And so I noticed the consistency there, and I noticed that they, were spending a lot of time together, and I found out that they were dating and that it was a serious relationship, and I was really excited to hear this. And I know how particular Joel is. So I knew she was an extraordinary woman. Then I found what really caught my attention is I found out that she was a very experienced network marketer. And I thought, wow, that's really fascinating. I got to get to know her. And so when I found out her background, I was really intrigued with her past and the things that she had accomplished and done to build really amazing teams. And inside those teams, she's found amazing ways to glue people together. She's very magnetic. She's very internally and externally attractive. When you hear her speak, she's very endearing. She's very accommodating. She makes everyone around her feel very, very special, and very much like no matter what you're going through, you can do it. She's obviously, well, not to some of you, but what you may not know about her is she has, prior to meeting Joel, she was a single mom. And she was raising this amazing young child, this amazing daughter. And through that responsibility of being a single parent, having to provide for her daughter, and at the same time going out into the work world and making a career, she chose network marketing. And people know her for that story. And she's risen through those times. She's risen above that. Now she's married to Joel. They've got an amazing life together. They're professional network marketers together. They're doing great things. But everywhere they go, they create teams of people that are just really cohesive, whether it's a small group Bible study or it's building this business or just having different friend groups. That's what you can expect out of them. And so today I've asked Nikki to come up here and share a little bit about some of the things that she's doing inside their team that are working just brilliantly. And you'll think that it's just the most amazing news on the planet, and in reality it's what we should be doing all the time. I think the difference is, instead of her just hearing it, she's applying it. She's doing it. She's making the effort. She's getting creative. She's on time. She's all the time. She's consistent with her business and what it is she's doing, but she's found a really creative, unique way to engage people and get a lot of results out of participation. And so, Nikki, would it be okay if I brought you up to talk a little bit about that today?
Yeah.
Welcome, Nikki Maly.
My bodyguard up here. Me too. Wow, that was awesome. Thank you so much, Scott. I was texting Scott last night. I hope he was reading those to you too, Juliet. Just that Scott and Juliet have been such a catalyst for a lot of success that we have in our life. And success means different things to different people, right? Yeah. It's the progressive ideal, or what did you call it?
Progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Right. And so our definition of success, which Scott and Juliet know, is what it means to us. And so they've been such a catalyst in believing in who we are as leaders, which has, causes such a ripple effect. And so today, my hope for you guys is, after we share a few things with you, you'll be able to take some notes, is I want you guys to think about the last Super Saturday you attended. Okay? And I want you guys to understand, I want you to hear how you're talking to yourself when I ask you this question. We're at a new Super Saturday, right? And what happened between that event and this event in your business? Don't beat yourself up, stop it. Okay? That's for real, you gotta stop that. Because a lot of times it's the breakthrough that's necessary for success is something we don't know that we don't know. Do you guys agree with that? Mm-hmm. And so there's this thing in the universe called the law of process. And the law of process is really understanding that it's who we have to become to achieve something. And Danny will know this. We traveled to Canada together, Joel and I and Danny and a handful of friends. We went to an event and we heard a public speaker. She was a keynote speaker. Her name is Tiffany. Mm-hmm. Tiffany, I have since have stayed in touch, and she's an incredible woman. And I sat in this room, right? And here I am at a network marketing event, and she said, and I'm gonna change a little bit about this. She said, it's not how you get to the next rank. Now, some people aren't here to rank advance, and that's all good, right? It's what you want. It's your definition of success. Some of you guys might be here thinking, it's how do I get to the next level of health? How do I get to the next whatever, right? And so I'm listening, and she said, for her, she said, how do I get you? It's not how you get to the next rank. It's who you have to become. And man, that just sat with me. And I whipped a notebook out, and I'm thinking, yes. Are you going to train me on that? Like, who do I have to become? Where did those steps come into play? And then she moved on and went on to another topic. And for years, I was like, what? I mean, for years, I've written her messages. We talked back and forth about who we have to become. And if you guys, Joel and I, we spoke yesterday about this. We talked about it on the way here. And you guys would agree that there's a law of process in everything in your life, right? It's not, it's probably, this might be a realization today because you're actually putting words to these moments in your life. Like, going to the gym, there's a lot of process, right? Right, Devin?
Yeah. Okay, so getting married there's a lot of process. Having kids is a lot of process. Riding a bike, right? Eating a donut. You know, it's like, this is my law of process. Like, yes, I want a donut. Do my pants. No, my pants don't want a donut because I'm not gonna fit. But there's like, I did work out today, right? And so I get through this whole, there's like, everything has a law of process, right? It's a circle. It's like a donut. The donuts are a law of process. You should eat them. With bacon. Yes, with bacon. Just kidding, Dr. Wall. Nobody eats donuts in here. And so that's the point. This is the key and the ticket that I want to talk to you guys about, because Joel made a great point on the way here today. You know, there's something that we hear a lot in network marketing, which is people will stay if you just get them paid. People will stay if you just get them paid, which is like, that's a blanket statement, right?
Part of it, right?
It's part of it, yeah. People.
Not the whole picture, though.
Yeah, no, yes, right. People stay when they're understood. People stay when they're understood. A result of being understood and mentored is getting paid. You guys agree with that? Right?
Write that one down.
Yeah.
That's good.
So a symptom of being understood and being coached and having somebody work through, you know, breakthroughs and stuff with you, a result is then an income. Would you guys agree with that? That's the result. And so
One way you could write it is like, what people want more than to get paid is to be understood.
yeah.
And then they want to be paid. Right?
Yeah. And so I want you guys to apply this to you and how this sits with you personally, because there are people here who are begging for more free time in their life. There are people here who are begging for more health answers in their life. And there are probably more people in this room who are begging for more financial freedom in their life, right? And the fourth key component of that is people are looking for a new community of people. Joel said he showed up today because he wanted to be around people who elevate him, right? And so what we want to unpack today is the law of process, because you know, we're all working through this system. And because we're covering business principles, you guys have all the health stuff today. I'm going to stick with moving through things as far as business principles, so that you guys understand what it looks like to create an income into your life, right? And so I'm just going to highlight somebody here quick. Miss Callie, you guys, everybody know Callie, right?
Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
And so here, if you guys saw Callie last week on Tuesday, she stood up in front of her room and she said the only reason that she is here is because she kept saying yes. She kept saying yes. And I kept telling Callie for a year, an entire year we've coached together. I kept telling Callie for a year, you are one breakthrough away from your next biggest achievement. Now, these are all like cliche statements. You gotta say, you're going, okay, right? Okay, what does that mean? You're one breakthrough away. And so you guys know that, law of process is like a circle and like a donut.
You are the donut lady. You realize that? Like, you are the donut.
I think I've spoke about donuts almost every time I've shared. Yeah. Don't buy me any, just give me like a donut shirt or something. And so when you look at this law of process and how it works through a circle, you guys have seen the emblem that goes on Longevity University, right? And so it's going through each separate step, right, to then enroll somebody. It's from opening your mouth to then getting them followed up with at a full closure. Isn't that what we do in business? Right? And if a piece of that is broken, then nothing happens, right? If a piece of that circle is broken, it could be from the start to the end, then nothing happens in our business. Again, I'm covering business topics today because you guys are going to get so much health stuff. So from the beginning, what I want to share with you guys is you guys ever well, y'all taking a shower, I'm sure of that. When you get out and the mirror is just all steamed up, and you take a towel and you wipe it off, and then you see yourself, right? But I mean, you can draw on it. But when the fog is there, you just, you know, in our life, in situations in our life or in our business, when the fog is on the glass, we just assume what's on the other side. And so when Tiffany said it's who you have to become, I spent the next 4 years discovering what that meant. And when people are understood in business, the result is then an income. So I'm talking to you, some of you guys are brand new. You have somebody here who is believing in you. And for those of you that are here that have mature teams, this is our responsibility, because I believe if you say yes to longevity, and I believe if you say, yes, I want to be a leader in this company, we are responsible for people's experience here. We are not responsible for success. I don't know what your definition is, right? We are responsible for our team's experience. Yes or no?
Yes.
I believe if as a leader, if you say, yes, I want to cultivate and grow a culture and have a team, that you are taking on and saying, I'm responsible for the experience people have in business with me and the people you meet out in the world, and everybody has a story. And why don't you raise your hand and say, I've been in network marketing before, right? Is it a good story? Probably not. Most of the time there's like something in there that's kind of gut wrenching. And so here it's when you wake up and say, I'm here to be on my success journey and to learn things about my health and to build my business, I'm taking on the responsibility of other people's experience of network marketing with me. And I know Joel and I, for the last several years, have said, we are determined to change how people feel about this industry. So, a really healthy topic about mentorship and coaching is if you're working with somebody, right? And now there's somebody here like, my upline quit. No. Okay, you got somebody here that's using that. You can use these tools yourself. My first 6 years in this industry, I didn't have Scott and Juliet. The company I joined, there was one person above me. We were like blind leading the blind. Nobody knew what to do. I'd never done this industry before. There was no mentor. So when I'm saying for 6 years building, you know, success in this industry came from sometimes just mentoring myself. Okay, so if you don't have a mentor, it's okay, right? It's okay. Or seek somebody, seek a buddy, seek someone. But here's the key with mentorship, and I'm going to ask you guys to play along with me today. The key to mentorship is absolute openness and vulnerability. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
Absolute openness and vulnerability. So I mentioned this a couple Super Saturdays ago. Scott and Juliet know everything about who we are. They have seen our tears. They have celebrated with us. We take questions. We have marriage counseling, financial counseling, business counseling. I mean, this is a couple who knows where we are. Now, if we show up, according to Tom, like hip, slick, and cool, right? To Scott and Juliet, and they're trying to coach us from hip, slick, and cool, but we're really over here, maybe trying to get through something. Maybe we need a breakthrough. How authentic is their coaching going to be? Right? Not very authentic. So no matter who you are, whether you're a leader or you're brand new, the most valuable thing that you can do is when you are seeking to get coaching and you're like Callie going, hey, I just need a breakthrough, right? I just need to get through this. I'm struggling or I'm celebrating or whatever, I need to debrief. She came to every call once a week for almost a year and said, this is exactly where I am, pull me through it. And that's the best thing you can do as a mentor and a mentee relationship. Now, if somebody doesn't have a mentor, I would sit down and say, here I am. Would you mind arrowing it this way? Would that be okay?
Oh, I gotta change my drawing.
I know. New circle. Okay. It makes sense to me because of the clock and stuff like that. Anybody else have like this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's a perfect example like how Phil and I are so different when we have conversations, right? I'm going one way, he's going the other way. We end up meeting at the same spot, right? We're like, did we just talk about the same thing for a half hour and we actually meant the same thing, right? Or whatever. Okay, so So what I'm gonna do is you guys see the circle of Longevity University, or anybody know in here know Eric Worre?
Yeah.
Right, good, really good friend of Tom and Denise. Incredible, of course. Brittany knows them. She loves podcasts now. She just discovered podcasts. They're beautiful. And Callie, did you hear that? No, it'll never happen again. Beautiful. Did you hear that? Yeah. Okay. So essentially, there's certain steps that happen in our business. So what I'm going to ask you guys to do is to please be vulnerable and partake in this exercise with me. My goal is to have you guys become aware of something today, address it today, and change it by next Saturday, next Super Saturday. When you guys walk in and you are growing in your awarenesses and having breakthroughs in your business, then the result is what? An income. That's when you get paid, right? And so nobody's exempt from experiences, right? These Scott and Juliet Bardulis, who are like networkers of networkers in the book, The Greatest Networkers of the World, didn't just come out of the womb with all the talent, right? It's like they didn't come just into this industry. You guys learned some hard hits, right? You did things the wrong way. You learned how to have breakthroughs. We all struggle. So nobody is exempt from these experiences. And so if you sit here today thinking you are, that's your first awareness, right? Welcome to your first awareness that we all need to grow. So the law of process we're going to talk about today with you guys as distributors, there's another law of process for people who are leaders trying to develop leaders. Whew, that's a whole different topic, right? That is a whole new topic. And so what I'm going to talk to you guys today about, I'm going to take kind of the veil off of this. I'm going to take the veil off of this. So this last week I had a couple of coaching calls. I'm not going to name names. Some of them are here, some of them are listening in. And a couple of coaching calls are when people become aware of the spot that they're stuck in. So if you guys find yourself in this circle, not necessarily stuck, but you just need a breakthrough. One breakthrough can get you the next step. So if you're looking at this and you're going, finding prospects. Does anybody's heart race here? Right? Does anybody have that moment you're like, this girl the other day, this is a coaching call. And what result do we just, and here's another wrong thing we do in network marketing, we just assume that Mary Ann's going to get in and like you're just going to get it, right? And you're just going to go do it, right? I don't understand why you're failing, right? It's like that's not good leadership. So this gal, it continues to struggle and struggle and struggle and no results and no results. And why? Because there's something has to happen in a breakthrough for her. So she says to me, so she is stuck right here. She needs a breakthrough right here so she can advance through this circle. Because what happens when you advance through the circle? Right.
Build your business.
Build your business, right? Again, health topic for later. Most of you guys that know that interact with me, my heart is on all topics. I'm just here discussing business today, right? And I just need to keep saying that because my heart is in all areas of what we do with Longevity. So some of you guys might be getting through here. When I met Joel years ago, I was Joel's mentor. I was his business coach, right? And then we fell in love, and then got married, and now I can't coach him anymore. I'm like, hey, you know what? How about some constructive criticism? He's like, how about you make me a sandwich? He hasn't, but it's very good joke. Okay. Okay. So when I met Joel, right, he comes to me and he's like, hey, I love network marketing. I like this company. I want to work with you. I get, most of the stuff. I want to be a presenter. Teach me tonality, teach me body language, teach me how to present this thing, teach me these things. I was like, wow. So he came here. He needs right here, right? And the reality is some of you might be super talented in some areas in the circle, but if we're not having breakthroughs in all areas, you don't complete the circle, which means you don't increase your income, okay? So this gal on the phone, she says to me, and this is what I'm going to pull away the veil of what's actually happening underneath here. I'm going to give you guys a gift today. Everybody needs to mentor ourselves. Like we need breakthrough, yes, The agreement's there. If you're not growing, you're dying. End of story. And so this is for those of you who are working on yourself. This is for those of you who are working with a team. When somebody is struggling with what's on this board, and they say, I don't know how to find more people, or I'm struggling like Callie. I remember this call, I remember where I was standing. Callie called, she's like, Nikki, I'm just really struggling with follow-up. I'm going to give you guys a gift, a look behind the veil today. What they're saying they're struggling with, wipe the fog off the glass. It's what's on the other side. They're trying to say they don't know how to communicate. So let me be clear with this. I said on my coaching call the other day, anybody in here know either yourself or know somebody who is struggling finding more prospects? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Somebody here. So she gets on the phone, she says, Nikki, she's been in for a year, right? She's made very little and has had very little results. People are wondering why, her family, everybody, why aren't you making any money? It's because she has not completed going through all of her breakthroughs necessary to have more success in her life. She's on the process of who she needs to become in order to get to the next level. I said, I smile every time I hear one of these. She says, and thanks to Callie, she's been a great coach to me, right? She's mentored me for a year. I said, you're not finding prospects. Now I know you go to the gym. I know you're at the coffee shop, and you are that's how I met you. We didn't even know each other. We ran into each other at the gym. She signs up, right? She's just like this. She is just a ball of energy, super attractive, just engaging. I was like, I'm having a hard time believing you can't find prospects. I said, why don't we wipe the fog off the glass for a second and talk about what's really happening? You guys see what I'm saying? Find out what's really happening. And she said, you're right. I am around a lot of people. I guess what I'm struggling with, ding, 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 right? This is our job. If you guys are hung up and it's like, I don't want to follow up today. I'm just going to do the dishes or do a million other things to avoid all things, to do any follow-up. You guys there? In avoidance, right? It's because it's you trying to tell yourself, I need a breakthrough. I am really struggling here. So I said, having a hard time finding prospects. What are you saying? And she said, when I talk, I feel like I'm saying a lie. Okay, so let's wipe the fog off the glass. What's on the other side? And she said, I said, what are you saying? She's like, well, I meet people, And she's gone through Longevity University. You guys can go through all this basic training. It's very high level training. It's kind of 30,000-foot view, but we're all different. And we're all going to receive that information differently. We got to discover what the hang up is, what's on the other side. And she said, I'm telling you, hey, so-and-so, Sally, I'll say is her name. I say, hey, Sally, what are you up to these days? She's like, well, I own my own business. I was like, okay, do you own Longevity or does do you own Longevity or does Steve Wallach own Longevity? I mean, don't get confused here, She's like, I guess I don't. The invite and finding prospects and talking to people is not what your title is. It's who you represent yourself as in this company. So I said to Sally on the phone, I said, who are you in this company? Do you fight for people? Do you come alongside women? Are you a mentor? Are you a coach? Do you love fitness and nutrition? Do you feel the needs for people? Do you fill the gap? Do you cheer people on? Is that what you do? She said, that is what I do. Then that should be your answer. So the reality is anytime there is a hang up in here or we need to have a breakthrough, there's a fear underlying the surface. There's a fear underlying the surface. I didn't come up with this fear theory. You guys watch Tony Robbins, read the Bible. I mean, it's like all the principles are the same. Anytime we're unwilling to move, it's because there's a fear. So if you're looking at this list, you're saying finding prospects. The fear is that you haven't discovered the story you need to tell. What is your story? It's not Scott's. It has to be authentic to you. And I say, discover who you are in this company, and that should be what comes out of your mouth, right? So here's the next thing. Going through inviting, presenting. Fear, there's like, okay, anybody in here, either yourself or somebody you know is like, I'm just like really afraid to ask my mom to come. Or I'm like super afraid. You guys ever heard the chicken list?
Yeah.
Man, I wish they would kick that out. I wish people just stop talking about that. What you should talk about, like you just did, what we should talk about is, why is that a chicken list? Why is there a chicken list? What's the underlying fear of a chicken list? That you're not worthy? Is that it? That you're not worthy? Right? Fear of failure. There's fear there. So instead of trying to say, oh no, it's okay, just do it. Just call your mom. Just whatever. It doesn't matter if you just do it. If they're not going to do it. They're not going to have the breakthrough. So our job is to pull back this veil and either discover for ourselves or help someone discover what underlying fear is not allowing them to have a breakthrough to get through this circle. And what you guys will discover as you go through this, presenting. Oh my gosh, fear of public speaking. Is it really fear of public speaking, right? Or am I worried about what Glenn thinks about me right now? Yeah. Right? Or am I worried about what Devin thinks about me right now? Isn't that actually the fear? So if we can unpack that fear, if we can get past and break down why to get through that. What's so cool about this training, you guys, and this is what Callie and I have been working through for the last year, and I use Callie a lot right now because her success story is just off the charts right now. What's really neat about this circle, you guys, is when you break through the fear of what people think, and you work through it here in longevity, won't that translate in your life? Yes. Won't that increase your relationships? That's what we do here in longevity. And I tell people that all the time. Like, Callie, I don't care if you make a dime this week. What I care about is if you are succeeding in every area of your life, in your relationships, you're changing your mind about your health and your finances, you're talking about them differently, you're seeking breakthrough, you're having success. Won't that translate into success in your business? Yes. So what is so neat is Callie did an event at her home recently, and when she stood up there, she said, I had no idea I could go to one place and it would fulfill all areas of my life. I had no idea I could go to network marketing, it would fulfill all areas of my life. And so what I'm proposing to you guys is to discover what here, like when we all have it, it's an Achilles, right? I know that mine is right here. I know that mine is right here. And I've discovered for myself, it's not so much of a fear, it's an excuse, right? I'm a promoter, and so I like go on to other things, and I'm like, forget that we talked, you know? And so I know that that's a spot for me that's a main focus. Is this ringing clear to you guys? Mm-hmm. What I'm proposing to each of you today is that you discover where in your law of process do you need to have a breakthrough in. Right, and it's not up to Scott and Juliet to everybody call Scott and Juliet here today. You know, it's not up to them to walk you through this breakthrough. It's up to us to identify where are we hanging up, where do we need to have a breakthrough in order to get through this, and why is it important to focus on the law process? Why is that? Yesterday I had another coaching call, and this gal said they've been through monumental growth. I'm just saying, if they could be an MVP, they would be. It's Callie. And Callie said, I said, Callie, the growth you've had, you put in how many people? 10? 6 or okay. She's got another one enrolling too, Nicole, here pretty soon.
Right, in the last like 2 weeks or last 10 days.
In the last 10 days. 6 people in the last 10 days. I'm willing to venture to say that maybe not a lot of people in this room have put that many people in the last few days, right? Okay, so So what happens is the reason why we focus on the law of process is if you attach yourself to the result, there's disappointment. So if you attach yourself to the process and you enjoy that journey, right, you've got to follow along with that. And that's where the attachment comes in. So Callie says to me, all the success, people enrolling, people that are strangers. She had 20 people show up, guests, 19 guests that showed up at her home as guests. There was 3 distributors, 19 guests. Like that's celebratory. That's like awesome. Yes, so they're all aware of what she's doing. They're slowly trickling in as enrollments, right? And so a comment that you look at Callie like, wow, so successful, building a team, stepping into leadership, rank advancing, do all of these things. And Callie says to me yesterday on the phone, she's like, yeah, but I'm not a 1-star yet. I was like, okay, Callie, so if you put Jennifer in your business, and Jennifer has a year of monumental breakthrough, she's growing in this company, she is making money, she's slowly doing her thing, she's, $100 check or $50 check, $150 check, she's growing, but she hasn't hit a certain rank, she's of no value. So why do we do that to ourselves? And a lot of times when we get to the next Super Saturday, we walk in and we kind of hang our head because we haven't hit the next rank. When in reality, you guys should be focusing on what this law of process is to you. So I encourage you to go home, draw this circle, donut, and to go home and pull the layer back for you.
Mine has sprinkles.
Just sprinkles on her donut. Yes. So I encourage you guys to go home and take the wording off here, wipe the fog off here. And so, I mean, literally, you can literally erase it and write what's behind that. What's stopping that? What fear is that? Seek it out, welcome it in, and say, okay, I realize I have anxiety here. I realize it. So here's what, over the course of 8 years being in this industry, and some really incredible mentors these last 2 years of our life, so blessed, Scott and Julia. Here's something I've learned. You get good enough at seeing this for yourself and evaluating where you're at in this business, then you will be able to work with somebody like Callie. And I remember a number of phone calls, I would say, Callie, if there was like a circle donut, there was a circle, Callie, you're 90% of the way there, don't stop. Like you're so close to one last breakthrough to get this picture. Don't quit. Don't do it. And I'm saying for some of you guys, you're like 95%ers. You're like one breakthrough away from having absolute success in your life. And so,
Can I say something about you?
please.
So, Nikki was my mentor at first, obviously she said that, but she's sort of still my mentor, because she's awesome. And yeah, but check this out. So I've noticed that her success is in coaching people and in dealing with people in this industry and forging the type of bonds that she has. It's amazing. And I've observed this. And what's great about you is she is amazing at believing in people before they believe in themselves. So she will believe in Callie before Callie has this much belief in herself. Nikki sees the end result. Nikki sees the Callie that's 5-star. And she saw that from the beginning. And it's amazing. I admire that so much about you because that's really what we're doing here. Devin, you get a new person in your business. Your job is to see them as a 5-star before they even know what 5-star is. And so what's so cool, and there's a wealthy businessman a long time ago, and he was famous because not only was he wealthy, like uber wealthy, like anybody see a yacht in San Diego when you're there for vacation?
Yeah.
Okay, so this yacht is like $1.4 million a week to rent out. $1.4 million per week to rent this thing out. Okay, this thing is insane.
We're gonna
I think that yacht, it's worth like $200 million. This yacht, okay. So this is this type of person. Like, this is how wealthy this guy is. But he was famous not for that kind of wealth. He was famous for the amount of
millionaires that were working for him. The amount of wealthy people he had working for him. And somebody asked him and said, how do you do that? Nikki, how do you have so many people, busting 6, 7, 8 enrollments in the last 10 days? How do you have so many people working for you that having massive success? And he said, it's my job to see the gold in them when everyone else sees a dirt hill. He said, my job is to keep digging until I find the gold, because it's there in each and every one of you. It's there in all of the people. He said, I just got really good at mining for that gold. And so I think that's what Nikki is amazing at, because that's what she's doing. She's believing in people through their law of process. When you first get in, you suck because you've never invited somebody. Okay. Sorry, no. Change my pronoun.
You're big at that nugget.
Listen, when I first started driving a stick shift, I sucked at driving a stick shift.
Kelly,
Did anybody else have this experience? Okay. When I first started basketball, I sucked. I was probably like 6 years old and I didn't make it to the net even, right? When Michael Jordan first started, he sucked too. You cannot simultaneously learn and look cool. Right?
That's right.
You can't do that. You cannot simultaneously learn and look cool. So Michael Jordan sucked one time. And now he's great, right? But everyone has to start. And so what she's amazing at is seeing the gold, seeing the Michael Jordan in the 4th grade, as Tom calls it, and just believing in people through their law of process. Because when we get in, I should have said we suck at first, right? And then we do it enough times that the law of process starts to kick in. We get a little better. You're a little better. Start believing in ourselves a little bit more. And all the while, she's believing in you the whole way. And so that's, to me, that's what this makes, and that's what you do amazingly, like, incredibly. And I admire that about you. So if Tom Chanel is listening, like the person who can see the Michael Jordan in 4th grade that I've seen, no one does it better than you. And so that's what this whole thing is about to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So thanks.
Yeah, that was such a nice compliment, and I'll make you a sandwich later. Sandwich, yes. Okay. What is so cool about what he just said? Do you have to get an education for that? To see the gold in somebody? Do you have to have an education for that? Do you have to be a certain age group? Demographic, gender. It just takes willingness to give somebody hope, and that's what we do here in Longevity. That's what we do here in Longevity, is we deliver that hope, and it's such a key component. So thank you for kind of bringing all of that together and understanding that you got to see Callie, you got to see Brittany, you got to see Danny and Jen and Diane for who they are capable of being. You have to be willing to be the person that's like, I guarantee somebody will quit on themselves before I ever do. I'll go to the grave with it. There are people I worked with 8 years ago that gave up on themselves, and I still think about them because I know what they're capable of doing and producing and being. And they quit on themselves before I'll ever go to sleep on them. And that doesn't take education. It just takes making a decision saying, I'm here, this is my career, I'm not dinking around, we're not dabbling here. Making this decision is impacting people's lives, right? So go home, do your circle, add sprinkles or whatever. Take this off and look at the veil. Discover this for yourself, right? And you guys understand, if you're a leader in this room and you have a team, and you're really it's like, oh my gosh, the ultimate goal. You're a parent. The goal is to raise your kids and show them the way so one day when they grow up, they're responsible, healthy, loving, nurturing human beings. Is that our goal? That's the same way you should look at the newest person that joins your business. And so if you're a leader, the law of process applies to you too, because the ultimate goal is getting your leaders to become leaders, and that's a whole different law of process in and of itself. I know Scott and Julia probably attest to that, right? A lot of you guys in this room. That's a whole different law of process. So I want to share now some really applicable things that you guys can do. Applicable, right? Things that you can actually physically go home. Please do this. If you don't, and you come to next Super Saturday, this is the mentor that gets hung up on once in a while. Okay?
Callie did hang up on me a few times. And she blah, and then she'd get off the phone and I was like, I think she just hung up on me. I did my job. Okay. And so this is me connecting heart to heart because I care about where you guys are at. Next Super Saturday is gonna come. And y'all are gonna find a spot in here next to your bestie or somebody brand new. And you're gonna have this moment. The next time I mention a donut, it'll be like a twitch, like a donut, like, oh my gosh, what breakthrough did I have before I came? Because the amount of breakthroughs you have between now and next Super Saturday is equivalent to the increase in income that you'll have in your business. Period. The end of that thought. So be willing to explore that. So here are some applicable things, couple of things, and then we're gonna hand this back over to Scott, and I believe then we'll be here soon. So here's some just really some really solid success tips. If you are willing to go all in on a home event, are we a party company? Like we do a party planning? No. I mean, there are some people that do some social selling, but for the most part in our company, we're not really a party company, right? We're not really a company that you have to do 3, 4 different types of events in your home every week for the rest of your life until you go to heaven. That's not what we do. So here's the idea. I'm going to share some things that, what Joel and I have done over the last several years that had really solid success in network marketing with. If you guys commit to one home event, just one. And I'm saying, and I said it to Callie, you can do a home event, and here's my promise to you, I'll never do another one in your home. I'm not coming back. Right? I'll mentor you and coach you forever and ever and ever till the end of time. We'll be friends, we'll do life. This is a bond, a friendship for life, right? But I'm gonna do one home event in your home, one time. And we're gonna do it so good. And we're gonna pour so much into it that you'll never need to do another one for the rest of your career. That's not okay with you? Callie was like, whoo, now she's a yes girl. She's a yes girl in the sense that even if it's hard, she'll take a deep breath knowing that I love her and I'm not going to quit on her, right? And she'll just say, if you say this is the next step, that's what I'm going to do. Isn't that being coachable, right? If you say it's the next step, that's what I'm going to do. So one home event. And so one time, she packed out a list. She wrote down 100 names. I taught her an invite. I sat with her during those calls. I'd say, okay, like, good job, I sat with her during her invite calls. She called me often. She's literally inviting you guys like 5 days prior to an event. 5 days is all it took. And she poured everything into it. She followed every step. I spoke with every guest the day before the event on the phone. Every one of them laughed, and all of them showed up. Of 20 people that said yes, they'll come, 19 came. Is that common? Isn't that crazy? And the one that didn't come got sick. Okay, so she poured in. You guys, there are systems available for your success. Follow a system. Follow the system, right? And so she does this home meeting. And then we follow up with every single person the following day, either her or myself or both of us. And all we do is say, thank you for coming. It's a proven success system. And I'm saying, if you guys treated your business like I'm going to have a grand opening, you should feel so blessed to come hear my story about Dr. Wallach, why I'm pregnant. I'm not pregnant, Callie, right? Why Callie's pregnant, right? And she's sharing this story. And we're offering this place of hope and opportunity. And she knows that she's never going to have another home meeting. Doesn't she go all in? She goes all in. Literally, and she can tell you this, in 2 years' time, in 2 years, what could have happened in 2 years, she condensed down into one single day. And what has resulted from that are enrollments and people joining. She met them where they needed to be met. And so what I encourage you guys to do, right? Brittany's got one coming up. I know Yvonne's got one coming up. She's just getting back into town from being away at a leadership event, which you can't wait to hear about. But these are people that have one-time event plans. And the great thing about what we do as leaders is duplication.
it's duplication. So if she can have one really good event, can you guys do one really good event?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, you guys can do that, right? Yes, it's not cheesy, there's not sales, and guess what we didn't have at Callie's event? We had nothing. There were no tables of product. There was nothing out, nothing. She didn't even bring, she wasn't even drinking VTTs. She, like literally in front of them, there was literally nothing. People were like, what are we doing here, you know? And how, because it's like, we don't know what those people want to buy. I don't know if Judy loves jewelry. I mean, obviously she does because she's wearing it. But I don't know if she's into nutrition or sleep or traveling or oils, right? And so I'm not going to assume and try to put everything out in the company. I'm just saying what I think is possible is if you guys sit down and you say to yourself, I could do one solid event, and you pour everything into it, you get some coaching, you get people there, and you have enrollments at that event, $25, 0 enrollments, CEO packs, all those are kind of coming into Callie's life right now, right? That's possible for all of you. And so I encourage you guys, it's not just about going through the process, because we can all be yuppie-duppy and come back Super Saturday and have all these really beautiful breakthroughs. But if we don't apply it to a single event or a certain day, then what have we done with it? It's empty. You guys agree with that? So both of the how do I gain this result, in this case we're talking about business, how do I gain this result is, you know, how do I rank advance, is directly proportional to the statement of who you have to become. They both have to go hand in hand. Does that make sense? Cool. Anything you want to add? Okay. Do you guys get something from this today? Yeah.
All right, so next is Scott's gonna come back up.
It is fun. Are you guys just learning a ton today?
Yeah.